Yourself?
I am great, thank you.
Awesome. I'm here with Michaela
Thanks,
and
brother.
Brennan.
You got the whole team there with you.
That's right, that's right. We
Oh.
can't afford to miss this. You're awesome.
All right, so is there anyone who, maybe we should start with introduction? So my name is Michelle Davis, CEO of MVD Consulting. I work with not-for-profit leaders and business leaders on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, research, evaluation. I also work with a lot of small Black-owned businesses, helping them to find funding, visioning, strategic planning. So I spent many years as a senior manager in not-for-profit organizations in Canada, as well as working as faculty, part-time faculty at universities and colleges as well. So I have a background in higher education. I'm holding these webinar series to help you find money to, fund your dreams, whether it's for your not-for-profit organization or your business. Grant writing is a bit of an art and a science. Over the number of years, I've written many, many, many applications, way too many than I wish to count. But my experience over the past 2 years working with a client who has granted over $85 million to almost 800 organizations across the country means that I got the experience of being on the other side of the funding table. So that means I got to experience, or I have experienced, how funders make their decision. So after you hit submit on that application, I have seen what happens on the other side of the system. So that has made me a much better grant writer. It also means that I now have insight to share with you in terms of how to get your applications funded. So I'm going to invite you, if you'd like to unmute, maybe say your name, share the name of your business or not-for-profit organization, and maybe let us know one grant that you're planning to apply to this year. So if you're willing to unmute, or maybe if you can't, maybe put it in the chat, your name, your business, the name of your business or not-for-profit org, and the name of one grant you're planning to apply to this year. Is there anyone who would like to volunteer to start?
Yes, pleased to be here. My name is Liber Vieira, and our organization is called Urban League of Canada Prevention Training, and we're not for profit. And right now we are applying for a fund through the Red Cross.
Awesome. Thank you, Liber.
Hi, my name is Johnson. We're a non-for-profit organization. We're a community group. Our organization is called CYSA Community Center and Sports Academy. What we do is basically put on meets, track meets, and various sporting events for the community. It was started the background is like a Christian base. So we started off, with our churches and stuff like that. And we're hoping to be one of the leading community groups throughout Ontario, providing sporting events and stuff like that. My other colleague is on the call as well. Her name is Denise Anderson. So we're from the same organization. And this will be, we applied for a grant last year, but we didn't get through. But this will be the first grant that we're looking at this year. My friend Cindy sent me the link. She told me she had connected with you. So that's how we are on the call right now. So thank you guys so much for having us too as well. Thank you.
Welcome, Johnson. Welcome, Cindy. So happy to have you here with us. So who would is there anyone else who'd like to introduce themselves?
Michelle, there is another one from the chat. Hello, everyone. I'm Princess, owner of Princess Foundation. We are a nonprofit for women. I plan to apply for a few grants. Can't think of the names right now.
Awesome. Thanks, Queenie. Thanks, Princess. Happy you're here with us tonight. Anyone else?
I guess I'll go. So
Alright.
hi. So my name is Alicia and my business is called CMOS Blend. So I do provide different CMOS products, whether it's the gel or the drink, to body butters and soap. There's a lot of grants that out there based on the list you sent. So I'm just here just to get an understanding because I'm tired of using my own money. So it's like, let's tap into the market, because I'm at the point where, yeah, like, do I close my business, or it's like, let's use the opportunity that's there. So I am happy that you're providing these workshops for us, because I know based on like having a consultation with Princess as well, there's lots of grants available out there, especially for our community. And in order for a business to grow, let's tap into that market.
Awesome, awesome. So glad you're here, Alicia. Yeah, you know what it's like when you have to bootstrap and self-fund your business. So yeah, if we can get you some of the free money, definitely let's see what we can do. So maybe 10 more seconds if there's someone else who wanted to, I mean, it's to introduce yourself. If not, then we'll get started.
Hello, everyone. I'm Raquel. Actually, I just wanted to introduce myself just because I'm going to be honest with you, okay? Someone sent me the link to this meeting. And so this is my first time hearing exactly what the meeting is about. I just saw like grant writing, you know, like just things I'm interested in. So I said, okay, you know what, let me come and check it out and just hear what it's about. So I can't really answer your questions per se, but in terms of my own personal interests, what I do, I'm a public speaker, right? I actually am a writer as well, and a musician. I rap. So that's one of my biggest what do you call it, passions, right? In terms of what I'd be interested in is maybe something music related, or any kind of grants that will help me to pursue my passion. That's really what it's about. I just wanted to say to Johnson, my mom actually ran for you guys. Like, what? That's why I was shocked. I was like, what? I've heard of you guys before. So I'm already feeling like I'm a part of this community, and I appreciate you guys for having me. All right, so that's the reason why I missed the first one. I see that this is a part 2. Honestly, if I knew there was a part 1, I would have been on part 1 as well, okay? So this is just total transparency, all right? But I do want to say I appreciate you, Michelle, for having this event. I appreciate this for sure.
Raquel, we are so happy you are here. We are so happy to hear your story, all your passions, things that you're doing. Maybe I'll get you to send a message to Queenie with your email address if you want. Then we can follow up with, we'll send out some like a copy of the recording and any supports after, like tomorrow. So because you weren't registered, I want to make sure that you'll also get that email that we'll send.
I would appreciate that too. I'll
Okay.
send you a message with my email address. Also, I don't know how relevant this is, but I actually just wrote a healing journal, right? That I just put on Amazon. I'm just waiting for them to say yes, it's approved. So that's something that if I can get funding for that as well, then definitely, you know, whatever is out there. Because honestly, I live in Brampton, you know, so they don't tell us too much about our opportunities.
Okay,
right?
okay,
So
interesting.
thank you guys, though.
No problem,
Raquel, were you invited by Rich?
Yeah, I
Okay,
was. So you know Rich.
yeah, we sent him the link and told him to invite some people.
Okay.
And here you are, so that's fantastic.
Yes. Okay, good.
All right.
Now I'm getting some familiarity out here.
Right.
You're a good
Yeah.
man.
We're
Yes,
glad that
perfect.
everyone was sharing it. And
Thank you.
yeah, we even saw today people were signing up. The numbers kept going up and up. So yeah, we know good news. They say good news travels fast. So we're thankful that people are inviting others. So I'm going to just quickly recap, because some of you were not at the first webinar we did last month. So I'll quickly review some of the key takeaways from that webinar. And then today is a working session. So we want, if there's a grant that you're working on, log in on your device, start working on it. You can ask me questions, you can share your screen, I can share my screen, we can review. and just walk through an actual application together. Because of course, grant writing, as I said, it's kind of an art. So the more you do it, the better. But if I can help you in our session today, as you're, maybe even if you're planning to apply to a grant, maybe go to the website, register for an account, etc. So we'll get to that. But first I wanted to just, as I said, recap some of the key takeaways from the first webinar. So I did a really detailed overview of the granting process, looking at what happens from the time you hit submit on your application until you get that email that says congratulations. So as I said, I kind of pulled back the curtain so that you can understand what happens and how funders make their decisions. That was one aspect of it. And then really talking about what funders are looking for in applications. So one of the things that I talked about, and one of the key takeaways from that webinar was ensure that you tell a story in your application, right? Telling a story of who you are, your business, your organization, but you have to be concise and you have to be focused, right? Because most applications now are completed online and there's usually a word limit. And even if it says 150 words, you will be surprised how quickly you get to the maximum and you haven't finished writing. So you also have to wordsmith and edit your answer, but still be able to, succinctly tell your story in that word limit. So that's really the toughest part of the grant application process, is telling that story in a focused way and be within the word count. Also, a thing I advise is to be consistent on your social media and website. So for example, if you're applying and saying that you've done this youth program for the past 10 years, but I go to your website as a funder and I don't see anything on your website, that's gonna raise a red flag for me. So nowadays, in 2023, funders and the people reviewing the applications will check out your website, probably more so than your social media accounts, but they may do that as well. If they're not quite sure, it's not quite clear from your application, they will check those. So make sure that the story you're telling in your application is also reflected on your digital assets. Second key takeaway, funders want to fund people and organizations that are aligned with their mission and values. So they're looking to fund people and organizations that are aligned with their mission and values. So for most funders now, for example, equity, diversity, inclusion are huge issues. So if your organization is serving a marginalized community, you want to be able to tell that story, but also, you are in better alignment than someone who doesn't. Another example, one of the clients I work for, they only fund work that supports women, girls, transgender folks, and non-binary people. So if you're cisgender, if you're supporting boys and men, cisgender boys and men, they will not fund your organization because your work that you do is not in alignment with their mission and values. I mean, it may be great work, it may be fantastic impact, incredible results, but it's not aligned with what this particular funder does. So you want to ensure that you're in alignment with what they're doing. In terms of the process, the granting process, it does not stop at the funding organization or the foundation that reads your applications. It's actually grant reviewers, and they're usually volunteers. So grant reviewers receive a number of applications. Maybe it might be anywhere from 20 to up to 60. Like if they're in the Toronto, Ontario region, they're reading a lot more because most applications come from the GTA and from Ontario. They will read the grants, in the evening, on the weekend. So they have very limited time to read application. And so you can expect them to spend maybe 15 minutes at the most reading your grant application. So they're very quickly reviewing your application, looking at any supporting documents you submitted, and making a decision. So that is why it's important to be very concise. Just get to the point very quickly because they're reading your application very quickly. These volunteers have particular expertise So they can be very picky. Their expectation, they set the bar very high for application. They can do that not only because they have particular expertise, but also because most funders receive hundreds more applications than they can actually fund. So most funders can fund maybe 10% of the applications that they receive. So they are looking for the best application, right? So you want to ensure that your application, meets those very high criteria. You also have to ensure that you're an eligible organization and that your activities that you want the funder to fund, that the activities are eligible as well. If you're not an eligible organization and your activities are ineligible, it's a very easy way for them to say no to your application. So if you are reviewing the granting guideline and you realize that you're not eligible or you're not in alignment with their mission and values, I would discourage you from even applying. I know sometimes you say, oh, I'm still applying anyway, and I hope that it's a bit of a stretch, but I'm still gonna apply. You probably shouldn't, don't even apply. Because it's very easy. It's easy for them to say no, because again, they receive so many applications and they set the bar very high. As I mentioned previously, equity, diversity, inclusion matter hugely. So ensure your story speaks to us in terms of who's the leadership on your board, who's the leadership within your organization, who are the people that you serve, what are the communities that you work in. You want to ensure that you speak to that in your application. And a fifth key takeaway was in terms of answering the question of where to find funding opportunities. So I like to have funders contact me. That's right, funders contact me. How do I do that? Because I go on their website and I sign up for their e-newsletters. And so when they are announcing new funding, it comes right to me directly in my inbox. So I like that. So for example, today, the City of Toronto, I'm signed up for their business economic department's newsletter. And then they announced that the starter company grant will be open for applications next month. There's a webinar on March 8th. So if you are a small business owner, you will want to check that out. That came to me right in my inbox. So I know right away this information, and then tomorrow I can share it on social media where most people haven't heard this announcement. So I really like the e-newsletters. Queenie will attest to the fact I've signed up for a lot of newsletters. But I like to know what's happening. I like it to come in my inbox. I can read it, start of my day or after my lunch break, and I have the information handy. So that's another way. If there are particular funders that you are interested in, particular grants that you're interested in, go to their website, sign up for their e-newsletter. It's usually on their first page or on their contact us page, and you'll get the heads up first. Yeah, so those were some of the key takeaways from the first webinar. If you didn't attend and you would like a copy of the recording, please let us know. Again, you can send a message directly to Queenie in the chat today, and she'll can send that out to you. As a follow-up to the email, we sent a recording of the webinar. We sent a copy of the slides. We sent a copy of a list of grants that we curate. So we have a Google Sheet that we update regularly. Any new grants that open, we put it there, just so it'll be easier for you. So you don't have to be running around, is this happening? Is this, where can I find this? We maintain that list and we can send you that information. So definitely let us know if you'd like a copy of the information from the first webinar. It was about 75 minutes. And if I do say so myself, I was able to share a lot of really good information. So that was the feedback that we got. So again, if you weren't at the session last month, let us know, or the December. If you weren't at the webinar, let us know and we'll send you that information by email. So as I said, today is a working session. So I just wanted to, is there anyone who's working on a grant application right now and that we can kind of review together? Like the Community Services Recovery Grant that's due on Tuesday. Is anyone applying to that one as a not-for-profit or a registered charity?
Is that the one on the 21st?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be applying for that one, absolutely.
Okay, all right, so we could look at that one. Anyone else? Is there a particular grant in mind? I know there's some business folks on here, so maybe we could look at the Canada Digital Adoption Program. But okay, let's look at the Community Services Recovery Grant that's due on the 21st. Not-for-profit organizations and registered charities across Canada can apply for up to $100,000. It is a capacity building grant. So what that means is it's an investment in your organization. So it's not about delivering a project or delivering programming. Instead, it's an investment in your organization to make it stronger, to make it more sustainable. So it is funding things such as strategic planning, fundraising plans, communication plans, training for your staff, board, and volunteers. You know, the things that you can't get to because you're so busy delivering programming, whether it's to young people or to seniors or to women or to whomever, that you can't get, you know, can't create that foundation that gives you the stability to grow and expand. That's what this fund is going to do. So it's a really great, really important grant. So if you're not for profit or charitable organization, definitely consider applying to it. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen and we can look at the application together. Would people find that helpful?
Absolutely.
If not, tell me, I won't bother.
I'm for it. I'm for it.
For it, okay. So there's kind of two steps to this application. So first you have to go through and answer a bunch of questions, of course. So you go, the website is communityservicesrecoveryfund.ca. Just Google it. You use Google and it'll bring it up. Because there are three main organizations through which you can apply. So you kind of have to do this assessment. And then at the end of the assessment, it will tell you which organization you apply to, whether it's Canadian Red Cross or Community Foundations Canada or United Way Canada, right? So depending what you do. So let's quickly go through this assessment and then we'll kind of look at the application as well. So apply now. And it's going to take you through the short questionnaire. To answer the same question a few times. Okay, so if you're, what geographical area do you serve? If you're a national organization, you would choose answer A. If you are provincial or territorial, so you serve all of Ontario or all of Northwest Territories, you would answer B. And if you serve like the GTA or you serve Peel region, Durham region, choose C. So for most organizations, it will be C. So let me just see what that is. What describe your organization? If you're an Indigenous organization, A, a registered charity, you would be B, an incorporated nonprofit is C, or an unincorporated nonprofit would be D. So Johnson, which one would your organization be?
C.
C, okay, so let's choose C. Now there are three streams to which you may apply. One is people. So if you have staff, you have lots of volunteers, you have a board of directors, you could choose this. This would help you if you're, your HR strategies. You need to focus on better recruiting better candidates, retaining people. If you're having a high turnover rate, if you want to do some employee engagement, some training, etc., then you would choose A. If you want an investment in your systems and processes, which is maybe your policies, maybe your strategic plan, your fundraising plan, a communication strategy, etc., then you would choose B. And program and service innovation redesign. So if you want to update your programming, you want to test out a new model of your programming delivery, you could choose C. So Johnson, which one? Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot. Is there one? I mean, if not, we could. Which one do you think you'd be most interested in?
What do you say, Denise?
I like this T.
They all sound good. Let's maybe B.
I know sometimes all three of them sound like you could do with all three, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So let's choose B and go from there. So here are some examples, a new communications or fundraising plan, a new enhancing your accounting system. Maybe you're thinking about merging with another community organization. You can get funding to explore that or other activities. So if this sounds okay,
Yeah.
we would choose, it sounds okay, we're going to choose A, submit. Then it's going to tell you which organization you apply through. So it's community, so you would apply through Community Foundations of Canada. Okay. So you can click apply now, and then it will take you to that website. And it's going to log me in because I'm already in. So you would create an account, and then
Okay.
it would take you into the actual application. And I'm going to take us to this one that I'm working on here. Okay. So then it will give you the information. Deadline is February 21st at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then you can start the application. Okay. So again, you have to create an account on this with Community Foundations Canada. Then you'll be able to get in and see the actual application. Now, Community Foundations Canada has a few different grants. So for my account, I have a few different applications in here, but we're gonna see if we can open this application too now. Okay, so I've started the application that I'm doing here. So you would go to section 1. So there's 4 sections to the application. And then you just go through each of the questions. A lot of them are yes or no. So this first section is just 4 quick questions. Do you consent to sharing your information? Are you located in the province of Quebec? Yes or no? And do you confirm the primary project focus? So is it aligned with the project guidelines? So I answered yes. Then I would go to section 2. So section 2 is where you're filling out more detailed information. The first section is information about the contact person. The second information is information about the actual organization, the website, your socials, your charitable registration number, for example. Then you have to go in and choose, what sector are you in? So for you, Johnson, it would be sports and recreation, perhaps, for the programming that you do. Choose one of the sustainable development goals that the United Nations have. So there are 22 goals, I forget now. And you choose whichever one most aligns with you. It asks how many volunteers, including board members, do you have? So you'll put in a number there. How many staff full-time? I just put in gibberish here because I'm going to go back and complete it. But I just wanted to see, get a feel for the application, what it goes. So again, you see here, maximum 150 words. Remember, I was saying that the art of it is telling your story. So this question, what has the impact of COVID been on your organization? So, you're probably going to say things like, we had to close our doors, we had to move online, maybe you lost funding and donations, whatever the story is of how COVID-19 impacted your organization, you want to tell that story in here up to 150 words. And then it would be, but as of June 2022, we reopened. We've now transitioned back to in-person programming, for example. We're seeing an increased demand for our services. Or for this organization, we're seeing demand for new services. So now we have to do food, right? We are addressing food insecurity. We're now doing health, a lot of health-related things, because we're seeing that health needs within Black communities and the health inequities. So you can also talk about new needs that have come about as a result of the pandemic. So those are some of the things that you want to talk about in your application. Right? In that particular question, the locations and populations that you serve, it asked about your annual revenue. They will always ask you for your board director. So who's on your board as a nonprofit, their names and contact information. Remember I said diversity, equity, and inclusion are important issues now for funders. So in this application, they have, again, a very specific question I started filling it out. I haven't, I'll go back and finish it. Nothing about us without us. Describe how your organization actively brings an equity lens to your work using the principle of nothing about us without us. So that you're going to talk about your leadership. Who's on your leadership? Who's on your board? Who's in, your management positions? Who are the people that you serve? How do you serve them? Are you using, approaches that are helpful as opposed to harmful, impactful, instead of, causing trauma and hurt? Those are some of the things you want to talk about in this question. So not only that you're a Black-led, Black-serving organization, but who do you serve and how do you serve them? Do you serve them in a way that is intentional, that is helpful, right? And how do you know that? Maybe you talk about, from our evaluation surveys or from our community consultation, people have told us X, Y, and Z. All right, so that's what the funder will want to see in this response. And you have up to 250 words. So you got a little bit more words to really tell a really great story in this question. If you're, again, equity deserving groups, who do you serve for this organization? They serve Black Canadian, first generation immigrants, they serve women, and some other. And then in this question, you would see which foundation based on where you are located. So this organization's in Toronto, so I know it's the Toronto Community Foundation. If you are in Burlington, if you're in London, Ontario, etc., you would choose the foundation, the community foundation in your particular city. So any questions about this first page of or I guess it's the second page of this application?
No, I got cut off, but I apologize. So,
Yes,
but
you got bumped out, sorry.
yeah, no, it's okay.
Okay.
My only question is is this the standard for like most of these applications, or do they all look like this, or is it just this particular one?
They're very similar. Again, they're going to be online. You're going to have to create an account, go into the portal. You'll have those word limits. The questions, the questions might be a little bit different, but most of them are similar, particularly if you're a not-for-profit organization. These are the type of applications that most funders have.
Perfect, thank you.
No problem. Anyone else have a question about this application?
So far, so good. Came back on, so we can continue.
Okay. So section 3, I haven't done yet. So section 1 was consent, section 2 is organizational information, and section 3 is the project detail. So this is where you're really going to explain what it is that you're going to do with that money. For this one, you can apply up to $100,000. So apply for the maximum. What are you going to do with that $100,000? This is what you're going to describe in this section. Okay. So you see here, you only have 60 words, 2 sentences, right? That feels like, oh my gosh, describe your project in only 2 sentences. Like that, talk about pressure, right? Right, yeah. Right up there on the top of the page here, 2 sentences. So you see what I'm telling you, you have to be concise. I'm not just making it up. I'm not just being difficult. I'm not acting like a Miss Know-It-All. This is what the people do, 2 sentences, all right? So again, it's kind of that wordsmithing. You might write 4 sentences and then you go back and you edit it. Because you can't hit save unless it's within the word count. But your first attempt at the question, I always say it's not going to be your best answer, but sometimes just get the information down and then you go back and you edit it. Okay, so maybe you're very verbose and you're gonna have 5 sentences. Because some of us are like that, right? We got a lot to say, right? But just go back, just know you gotta go back in and edit it down. And remove things like the word the and like those words, you're gonna learn to get rid of them because they're not helping you, right? So 2 sentences, you put a title for your project, and then you choose what your project is going to be. So you're gonna be adapting your current programs and services, creating new services, buying equipment, IT, digital transformation. Is there new technology that you need to to get on board with. You could use some of the funding for that. Restructuring your organization or governance, right? Redesigning your organizational strategies, developing partnerships or mergers, training or support for your staff, diversity, equity, inclusion, or other. So you want to choose one of these. I think you can only choose one. So what is going to be the focus of your project? So you have to decide. Yeah, you can.
It can't be more than one, eh?
No, you can only do one. And I mean, you may address more than one, and that may be reflected like in other questions and in your budget, but what is going to be the main focus of your project?
Okay.
That's what you would answer here. Okay. What are you thinking, Johnson?
Uh,
Some more about it.
I kind of like, I guess, digital transformation. And it just stands out right now, but
Right.
right. Yeah, I guess. The question up there, that investment in equipment, IT, digital infrastructure, is that more or less on the side of like if buying a property, or can you acquire a building for your organization or something of that nature?
So you should, I should have said, always read the project guidelines. For this grant, you cannot include capital costs. So no, you can't buy a building or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this one's non-capital.
Okay.
And most of them are. If it's a capital grant, it will say it up front.
Mhm.
Most of the not-for-profit grants exclude capital.
Smart.
Yeah, they do. So you're gonna put in your project start date, so it can't be before, the earliest can be May 1st. And all projects must be completed by June 30th. It's a 12-month, you get 12 months of funding, you have 12 months to spend your funds. So if you put in May 1st, then your project end date should be April 30th, 2024.
Okay.
In here, what are your project's timelines and activities? Right? What are you going to be doing here? So for example, in this question, I would do one. I would do May, if my project started in May 2023, you're going to maybe hire a program coordinator. 2, May 2023, maybe June. You're going to maybe purchase some, you said you're doing IT stuff, so maybe some software or a server. Right? And I would just go through, is this clear?
Yeah.
What do you think? Is it concise?
Yep.
Maybe you're gonna hire, so maybe, the summer, no one's doing everything. We're all off enjoying the summer. So maybe September 23, you're gonna hire an IT consultant to do an IT audit. Something like, I don't know. But this is how I would do it. I would have a numbered list. This is the month we're doing it, or the months that we're doing it. Maybe it spans over, like this work, maybe it's a 6-month project. So from September 23 till March 2024, we're going to hire an IT consultant to do this audit. So it makes it very clear to the funder what you're doing and when you're doing it.
Right.
This also becomes your work plan. So you're doing the work once and you'll be able to use it once you get the funding. So this is what I mean when you have to be very concise and very focused. In these questions, I like to do a numbered list instead of a paragraph.
Yep.
Because again, for the funder, they very quickly can see what it is that you're proposing to do, whether it's an eligible activity and an eligible expense. They can tell that right away.
Right.
So that's one of the things I like to do, is a numbered list. So this, and this one I would maybe also do a numbered list. List deliverables that you're going to have that will be developed as a result of the project. So you're going to, from your IT audit, you're going to have a report outlining IT needs or gaps. And maybe strategies to address these gaps, maybe, right? So you're gonna have a report that's gonna be, right, your outcome.
Right.
Alright, and then number 2, you're gonna put something else. You're gonna have, maybe some data privacy training
Mhm.
for staff, volunteers, and board members,
Mhm.
right? To improve security of data, etc.
I see him one, we drop off.
Right. Sorry, Denise, what was that? So I would put a list of the deliverables. It's going to be tied to your project activities, and it also must be connected to your budget.
Right.
All right, so we'll come to the budget next. So anything that you say that you're going to do, so one, you're going to hire a program coordinator. If I'm the fund grant reviewer, I'm looking at your budget to see if you've got money in there for a program coordinator. 2, you said you're buying a software or server or something. Do you have that in the budget? So again, your application is consistent. What
Right.
you say in this written part will match up with what you say in your budget. So it's just clear for a funder, right? So those are some of the things that I would do. Project results. What are your expected results and how will they support your organization to modernize and adapt? So you could either do this as a list or you could do this one as a paragraph. As a result of this investment, and they like the word investment, but not always grant talk about investment. As a result of this investment in our organization,
Mhm.
what will be the result? We will be, or our data will be more secure.
Mhm.
And from the training,
That would be more, yeah.
our people will understand.
Mhm.
Understand the importance of this, etc. So again, it's just consistent through your application, the activities, the outcomes, and the results, they're all consistent. Okay, does everyone understand how I'm doing this, how the dots kind of connect?
Yeah, I like it.
All right, so your mission and mandate, you can copy from your website or any other documents that you have. You just copy and paste it in here, maximum 100 words. Project oversight, who will be the main individuals involved in overseeing the project, right? So you put, like, I might put my name. I'm the board person, board director.
Yeah.
But I'll be I'm gonna be the project manager. I'm gonna have responsibility for overseeing the project. Right, so you want to name someone like that. If you're gonna hire staff, you may not know the project coordinator. I would also put someone who is, I would put in, because the financial accountability is a really important issue for funders. So I would put in the name of your accountant, the name of your bookkeeper. Their responsibility is financial management.
Right.
So just name a couple of people, 2 or 3 people, that's going to help with overseeing the project for your organization.
Like your treasurer.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Now, it's not gonna let me go to the budget because I didn't fill out all the answers, I don't think. Let me see. Let me go. No, it's not gonna let me go. Oh, yes, it is. All right, so this is the very important piece. So you've completed the project activity, the project outline. You're now coming to the budget. This has to be aligned with what you said in section 3. All right, so personnel. So we said it's going to be this. We talked about a project manager. It's not going to let me type in here. Anyways, so I would have in here, we talked about hiring a project manager in May 2023. We're going to put salary and benefits for whether it's full-time or part-time project coordinator. Then you're going to put the salary amount in here. Right? The fee for the IT consultant who's going to do the IT audit, you're going to put that here. Fee for IT consultant to carry out IT audit, you're going to put the amount that they're charging you here. Material supplies, equipment, anything else, you want it outlined here. You can outline that here. Admin, usually they like, 10, you can put up to 10%, I think, for administration, but I have to check the guidelines for that. And then, of course, the maximum is $100,000. Okay. If you have funding from any other funders, if you have, you know, if you're applying to another funding and you know you've gotten that money, list it here. If you have donations or anything else, you can put that here. Okay. And then answer this question. Then here, they're asking for a number of different documents. So if you're a registered charity, you need your last annual AGM report or your last annual report and your most recent financial statement. And it should be an audited financial statement as a registered charity. You'll have to upload those two documents. Justin, you're a registered nonprofit, so you'll need your governance document, right? Your incorporation document, for example, your most recent tax filings, probably for 2021, your T2. Your most recent financial statements, whether or not those are audited. And if you have a report to your membership, then you would include that, or a newsletter or anything like that, you would include that as well.
Okay.
So there will be a point where you're able to upload that.
Okay.
It won't, I can't show you what that looks like because I didn't finish the previous page, I believe. But that's the information that you'll need. And so once you've done this, once you've done, you know, answered all your questions, go back, review it, make sure you're happy. Once you're happy with it, then you're going to submit the application.
Okay.
So any questions about this grant?
No, this is just, yeah.
So sometimes when you actually walk through a grant, like writing a grant can sound super scary, right? It just sounds really intimidating, really like, you know, I'm not a good writer. I don't have no PhD. I won't, you know, I can't do it. You don't need any of that stuff. And sometimes academic people like myself have a hard time because we have a word count. We don't like word counts. So we want to go on and on and on. Provide our dissertation and our thesis. No, grant don't operate like that. So sometimes it's hard for people who are more academic. So don't let that be a barrier at all. Once you can tell a story about the work that you do and that you love, and you can write that very concisely, as I said, you can do a numbered list. It doesn't have to be a paragraph. Because again, they don't have a lot of time to read it. So you can make it short and sweet, then it's all good. So I know we have some business owners on the line. So I could, in the last few minutes, wait, let me see if there are any other questions, and then I'll look at a grant for a business. Anyone else?
I have a question for you, actually.
Yeah.
So my question is this, let's say you're working with somebody, okay? Is it smart for you to, let's say you register or apply for a grant and then the person you're working with applies for a grant, the same grant? Because, you know, it increases the chances, right? So, I don't know, I'm new to this stuff. So like,
Yeah,
just
of course.
clarify for that,
Of
right?
course. No, Raquel, I like the way you think. How can we multiply our money? I like it.
Yeah.
So you have to be two separate organizations first. So if you're two separate organizations, you can possibly apply, but you have to be requesting funding for different activities. Then it can't be, you know, we're gonna both do an IT audit of the same organization, but we're gonna both apply. No, that's not gonna apply. No. But you know, but maybe it is, you know, you have some kind of collaboration or partnership some other way, but as long as the activities are different. So maybe you'll apply for strategic planning and fundraising, and then the other organization will do the communications plan or something. And then some way, you know, you're going to collaborate in some other way.
Yeah, that makes total sense because like, for example, based on the grant that you just went over, it just seems like each grant is for a specific project. So if I'm saying, hey, I want this, then, and the other person says, I want this, then it just makes sense for you to separate them and apply in that way. So thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying that.
So they only fund one organization, and right, so you just, as long as they're separate organizations, you guys can collaborate once you get the funding for sure. Denise, I see your hands up.
Yes, I just have a quick question. who sets or what determines the amount of grant that they give?
Who sets the amount? So the amount that they give is usually a result of what you've asked for. So most funders will give you what you asked for. They don't really like to give you less of what you asked for. So that's why I said earlier, apply for the maximum, right? Don't, as long as you can justify it. I mean, you don't have to. If you only need 80,000 for your project, then apply for $80,000. But whatever you put in your application is typically what they will fund.
Just a follow-up question on what she just said, actually, and what you just answered. Do you have to spend it out to zero? Like, so for example, if they give you 100,000, you have to spend the full 100,000?
Correct. And if you
Okay.
don't, if you only spend $80,000 as per your contract, your funding agreement, you will have to return the money that you don't spend.
That makes sense. Thank you.
As well as if you spend the money on something that is ineligible, like you go and buy a building, they're gonna ask back for their money. Because that's an ineligible activity. All right. And nobody wants to do that at the end of the project. You done spent all the money. What do you mean I gotta give back $25,000, right? So ensure you read the grant guidelines so that you're on the right, you're in their good books.
Do you get access to the grant guidelines before you actually apply for the grant, or is it something
It's on
like
the website.
on the
It's on the
budgeting? Okay,
website.
okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, so definitely download a copy and go through it, right? All right, I know we just have a few. Oh,
I have a question.
yes, please, Abdul, yeah.
Yeah, so about the capital, about the building. So
Yeah.
when you starting a business, like there are other things that can be under capital that's not building also. So does the capital generally like take everything to start the business, or is just like, okay, just the building alone? That's like the difference in between the capital.
Yeah, that's a good question. So usually it is just like a building, a car, those kind of capital costs are not included. Whereas equipment, they'll allow.
Okay, so capital expenditures are allowed.
Yes,
All right.
yes. So buying a computer, buying a printer, so slightly different than how CRA defines capital cost allowance. But for most grants, you can apply, you can purchase equipment.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm gonna. So first you have to have made at least, have you made $30,000 in revenue in the most recent tax year? If you say yes, then it's going to open up more questions. Which sector is your business in? Where is your head office located? So we have an author here. So I wonder if it's publishing it in here. Let me see what they would have it under. Author publishing. I don't know what that would be. So like for my business, I'm a management consulting firm I'm under professional services. I know that, so I just choose that. Where is my head office located? I'm in Toronto. So I would choose Ontario. And what am I looking to do? You would complete this question. Maybe I'll put digital transformation, let's say that. Do you have annual revenues? So if you have revenues less than $500,000, but more than $30,000, you can apply for up to $2,400, I believe. If you have over $500,000 in revenue, then you can apply for up to $15,000. So I'm still a small fish. I'm going to say no to that question. And then the Grow Your Business online grant may be the right fit. So if you click on learn more, it will then describe that. So $2,400 to increase sales, adopt security software, improve social media marketing, improve user experience. So if this sounds like something that you'd be interested in as a small business, then you can apply, right? And then when you click apply now, it will take you to somewhere where you have to create you have to create that online account where you then would go and complete the application. It's a very, I submitted this one, it's very easy application to complete. So if you meet that criteria, definitely apply. And then what a lot of these grants sometimes offer is that they offer, access to training, access to advisors that you can speak to. So definitely consider, if you meet those criteria, to apply for this grant. Another really good grant that was just announced today, the City of Toronto, their Starter Company Grant. So if you're working full-time in your business and have been for the last 6 months, then you can apply to the grant. You receive $5,000 and you receive training. So I wasn't so keen on the training, but boy, am I so happy I went. The training was really, really good. I connected with some really good business advisors, someone who may purchase my services next quarter. So again, if you're in Toronto, check out that grant. They are having a webinar on March 8th where they'll explain it further. But this is a grant that's funded provincially by the government of Ontario. So even if you're not in Toronto, check out your regional government. The region, Durham region, Peel region, Halton region, for example, they may have a similar grant. And spring and fall are granting season. So from now until April, this is when grants will be available, and then again in the fall. So definitely start doing some research, checking out opportunities. And really, I would encourage you for 2023, if you've never applied for a grant before, set a goal to apply for at least one grant this year. And then if you do, make sure you tell me, right? Make sure you come back, hit me up on Instagram or send me an email to let me know that you did so I can celebrate with you, because I know it's intimidating. You're juggling so many different things. There's no time to do anything some days, but if you can make the time and apply for at least that one grant application, yeah, I will celebrate with you. So any questions before we say goodbye? So I just took you through 2 grant applications just to kind of demystify it if you've never done it before. Show you it's not as scary as it sounds. A lot of the applications are fairly straightforward. So are there did anyone have a question? Something's in the chat, let me see. Okay, Alicia's saying thank you. Oh, great, I'm glad you found it helpful, Alicia, that's great. Anyone else, any other questions?
I know I've been asking a lot of questions, but I just had
That's
one more.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the grants that you showed us were all government grants, right? My question for you is, what are some good websites for not just government grants, but also like maybe banking grants or business grants or whoever else gives grants? You know what I mean? Or are they all done through the government?
No, but the government
Okay.
gives the big money and they give out lots.
Okay.
Right.
So you're saying
Yeah.
go to the source.
Like the banks are not giving out $100,000 grant, right? So it's easier. They tend to fund more people. So it's a $400 million grant, right? So they'll be able to fund a bunch of organizations, 4,000 or something organizations across the country. So that's why I like, for not-for-profits, I like the government granting. For like the banks and such do stuff as well. But sometimes they're kind of like a hit and miss. They're not like every year they do this, they offer this grant, for example. But we have some of them on our list. So we'll make sure if you sent your information to us, Raquel, we'll make sure you get access to that list. But yeah, the banks can be a little, but again, go to their website, sign up for the newsletter. TD Bank offers some grant. I know they did some with Black Opportunity Fund. RBC does some grants. RBC does a lot of scholarships too for any student. Go to their website and check it out as well. So those are the 2 big banks who do. Sometimes the insurance companies, Desjardins and Fondé, Financial has a grant that it does every fall for like youth-led projects, etc. So there are some.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're so welcome. So did anyone else want to ask a question before we say goodnight or goodbye?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, Jonathan.
Yeah. Like, what if you're doing something close to like non-for-profits, like in that kind of field, but your organization is not really a non-for-profit registered?
Mhm.
How do you bridge that gap? Because it's not a an easy process.
Mhm. So you're doing not-for-profit charitable work, but you're not registered as a not-for-profit? That's
As
the
a
question.
charity. Yeah.
You're not. So you don't like for some grants you have to be a registered charity. If for those grants, what you can do is partner with an organization that is a registered charity. They will apply for the grant and then they will trustee the grant for you. So that's one way you can do it.
Okay.
So I volunteer with Jamaican Canadian Association. We're a registered charity, and that's what we do for sometimes for other organizations. So that's one. The
Mhm.
other one is there are grants available to organizations that are what are called grassroots or community group.
Okay.
So you don't have to be a registered charity. Some of the ones like Lady Love Foundation, they have a really good one for youth-led groups. So if you're doing work with youth that's
Mhm.
led by youth, they will fund you as a grassroots or community group. So
Okay.
there are some organizations that do fund you. But again, yeah, once you can show impact, when you can show that your work is led by the community, because what they don't want to do is they don't want to fund an individual.
Mhm.
You have a great idea, you're doing lots of great things in the community and you need funding to expand, they won't fund you because you're an individual.
Mhm.
Right? They want to fund a community group or an actual organization. So once you can show that you're a group, maybe you have some advisors, maybe you're doing, that meet regularly to discuss programming, again, that story that you can tell, supported by hopefully some kind of evidence that, that demonstrates the work that you've been doing, then you can also, be eligible.
Okay. Sounds
Right.
really good. So basically you're saying build a team of people that
Yeah.
shows you're making a community of change within the community.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And if it is a grant that you have to be a registered charity, form a partnership with a registered charity org. If you're doing that, I highly, highly recommend you having a formal partnership agreement. So don't just leave it to a handshake and yeah, man. No. We don't do this.
Right.
2023. We get things in writing. I've seen too many times where those relationships go bad because someone expected this and the other person expected this. So I always recommend to people, if you're going to partner on a grant, just make sure you have it formalized in a partnership agreement. So payment, how payments are going to be, who's going to be writing the final report, who is responsible for managing the staff, right? Just make sure you just lay that out on a document, both organizations sign it. Sometimes the funders want to see that too.
Right.
It's a good practice to have a partnership agreement. Doesn't have to be a long, formal, technical document. It can just be a 2 or 3 page document. Again, just listing out roles and responsibility.
Okay. That's very helpful. Would an NDA be solid enough to show that my organization, like a mutual NDA, is I'm working with this organization in terms of building community fund stuff? And also you mentioned something too about applying for staff. So say I'm the one from my organization applying for that, and I'm getting somebody else from another organization that is doing something else to get that funding as well.
Right.
Would that be a possible way to apply for staff funding through that kind of avenue?
All right, so the first part about the NDA. So the NDA may not be enough for a partnership agreement. You could have it as an attachment to the agreement. But I
Okay.
think the partnership agreement or MOU contains different information. And it may include like a confidentiality clause, or
Okay.
you could just, again, have that NDA attached to it. To the second part of your question, so let me just understand. So if you wanted, you're saying if you were asking if you wanted funding for staffing, another organization that maybe is a registered charity would apply for the funding and then pay the staff? Is that the question you're asking?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So if you're a community group, you have staff that you want to pay, but you're not a registered charity, you're going to partner with a registered charity, they're going to get the funding, and they'll either pay that staff through their payroll. It's probably the easiest way, or they'll send, which is probably the easiest way. Yeah.
As a trustee, like from
Yes.
that. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Well, thanks for clarifying that. I appreciate it.
No problem, Jonathan, no problem.
Thank you.
So any other questions? Almost bedtime for some of us.
Michelle, can I ask a quick question? I know
Of
I
course,
came in.
Terry, how are
I
you?
came in- I'm good. How are you? Thank you so much for this. I came in late, but I got
That's
here.
great. That's right. Yes,
Um,
that's right.
I wanted to find when you said that Laidlaw has the grants and stuff, do you go on their just exact website and look under, do they have a title for grants, a heading for grants? Or is
They
there, you have to
may.
go on their newsletter list or something like that?
No, if you go Layla even if you Google Layla Foundation grants, it'll take you to their page. They're also
Okay.
on social media. So they're really good because they have one for Black youth, the Black youth led programming. They have that specific grant, and they have one for Indigenous led but they're really, really supportive, really great funder. So I would, if you're thinking about that kind of, I would encourage you to think about applying to that. Mhm.
And how do you suggest, thank you for that. And how do you suggest like approaching to partnership with like so that they would do the grant so they would do is it something that they do, or is it something that is like kind of, if you know, it's who you know kind of thing?
No, it's in terms of partnering with a registered charity, you mean, Carrie?
Yeah, and they
Yeah,
would get the
it's
grant
very
and then,
common. It's
oh,
very
it's very,
common.
okay.
No, it's not looked down at all. It's very common and not for profit. So it wouldn't be, looked down on, or, the funder wouldn't question that.
Okay, so just go and ask if your goal coincides with the not-for-profit, just ask them if they would, okay.
Yes, and
But
hopefully,
would you be the one that has to write the grant, or would they write the grant?
I guess it depends, but most time it's the person who wants the funds who writes the grant. You would then share a copy of it with that organization for them to review it.
Okay.
Like for that one we were looking at, the Community Services Recovery Fund, you could add them as a collaborator, for example, get that person's email, add them on, then they can go in and review it and agree with everything.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you so much.
No, not a problem. Sophie.
Michelle, so if we're filling out the let's say the grant and we need help, we could reach out to you, or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So you'll get an email if you register, you get an email from us tomorrow. So you'll have our contact info. Then you can send me an email. You wanted to chat about or you have a question about a grant, for sure. We're on Instagram, we're active on Instagram. You can always send a direct message.
Okay. Thank you for that too as well.
You're very welcome. So if there's anyone on the call who didn't register, maybe someone sent you the link, just let us know what your email address is, and we will send you a recording of the webinar tomorrow, plus any of the list of grants that we have. If you want a copy of the recording of the first webinar, let us know. We can send that to you as well.
Yes, could I get a copy of that, please?
Sure. Did you register for today's session, Jonathan?
Yeah, I put my email in there as well.
Okay, all right. So then, yes, we will make a note.
I would like a copy also, please.
Abdul as well. Okay. And you register, we have your contact information, Abdul?
Yes.
too.
Okay. Sorry, was there someone else?
Carrie,
Carrie, okay, Carrie.
thank you.
And Raquel, yes?
Yes, I sent my email to Queenie already.
Okay, awesome.
So perfect. Thank you.
You are welcome. Yeah, so we'll send you a recording of webinar 1, the copy of the presentation slides as well, so you have that. Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure meeting you. Those I'm meeting for the first time. Thank you so much for being here this evening. I appreciated the questions. I hope I've calmed your nerves, made it seem possible that you can not only submit an application, but submit a really great application that funders will want to fund. Hopefully you understand a little bit better the process. But
Wait,
again, if you have questions, let us know.
I got one last question.
All right, Rick.
Hey, I'm a curious person, but no, the question just came to my head. How many grants can you apply for in within 1 year?
As many as you want.
Oh yeah.
No limit.
So like, let's say you get funding from one, you can get funding from another.
As long as they're different activities, as long as there are different activities, that's how not-for-profits run.
Okay.
Yeah, most not-for-profits, like 70–80% of their funding is grant funding.
From grants. Okay, perfect.
And
Thank
then
you.
20% might be donations, right? So
Yeah.
this is how this world operates. So once you understand it, then you can get the funding to do all the important work that you want to do in your communities, right?
That's pretty interesting because I actually used to do marketing for all the major charities in Canada. So
Yeah.
collecting the donations. So I understand the donation part of things. Now I'm gonna get to understand the behind the scenes, the grant side of things. So this is
grant side
fascinating.
of things.
Yeah.
Because most not-for-profits, you have a mix because grant funds are restricted funds. So you can only spend it on the things that you put in your application and that the funder has approved.
Okay.
Donations, like an organization, you love donations because those are unrestricted. You can spend them on that money on anything you want, as long as the donor has told you, hasn't given you any restriction. So we were talking about capital, like you can use your donations to buy that building. JCA, we bought our building in 995 Arrow. We own it because of our members really supported it. They gave us money to buy it, right? We didn't use grant funding for it. Now we use grant funding to repair it and renovate it.
Nice.
Right? But to buy it, that was donation. So understanding that as well is important in the not-for-profit world.
Michelle, what about the angel funders? Is that something you know more about? And also the private funders is
right. So angel funding, I know a little bit about. So angel, they are investors first and foremost. So you have to demonstrate that you have a viable product, that you have a business that's growing and expanding, and that you'll be able to repay them, whether that's in 3 years or 5 years. And they're investors, so they want, right, not just their principal, they want interest as well. So angel investing is really great for startups. It's really popular in tech as well. But it can be a really great way to grow your business, enter new markets, maybe develop a new product. Angel investing is different from granting in that a grantor just gives you a fund. They don't want anything else. They don't want no interest rate. They don't want any ownership or anything like that. Angel investors sometimes want ownership. So, like Dragon's Den, they're angel investors. They're investing in companies, but you notice what they say. I'll give you $100,000, but you have to give me what? 30% of your company.
Yeah, okay, that's how it is.
Right.
That's how it works. Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, yes, or it's debt. So you're taking on debt. You're going to borrow money from the investor, pay them back in this much time, which and they want like 15 to 20% interest on their money, right? So it can be really good. Can be because then you don't need to go to the banks and all of that, but you have to realize that you're either taking on debt or you're giving up an equity stake, or which is another term for ownership of your company. Yeah, so lots of great, interesting, different ways to fund, businesses, fund not-for-profit organizations, we're just kind of scratching the surface. All right, everyone. It has been lovely, lovely, lovely. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of your